And thanks to everyone who's joining us today for the community meeting, which is your chance to express your opinions of what went right, what went wrong, what you'd like to see in the future, the direction you'd like to see our community taking. This is your chance. We have a fairly structured agenda for you today, but there is a time where you get to express these views, and we encourage you to use chat throughout the meeting, and we'll pick up on your questions when we can. And of course, you are present with us as visual entities, so the time will come for you to actually put your case in person if you'd like. Okay, so let me just briefly guide you through the agenda for this meeting. So we've got to give you an overview, a post-mortem of sorts, of what's just happened this week. A very successful conference all around, I think, but we're just going to give you a retrospective view of the main conference, the workshops, the tutorials, and the doctoral symposium, or the doctoral consortium, as it's described here. All again, very successful events, and we'll have the various organizers of those events giving you their 2 cents worth. Then we have an update on the Computational Creativity Journal from Geraint. And we move on quickly to a new addition to the community and a new addition to the agenda this year, a report from the Computational Creativity Task Force. This is a new group of young, enthusiastic community members who are striving to make the community a more responsive and dynamic arm of the conference and the research area by making us more diverse and more accountable. And Zhao will give us an account of all of the great things that the CC Task Force has been doing in the past year. Then it's time to hear from you. That's the feedback from community. So we'd like to hear your questions, your thoughts, suggestions for improvement. Criticisms are welcome, but do try to make them constructive criticisms. Then we have an announcement of next year's conference. It's no secret where it's going to be. I guess the only thing that we have to say this year is that the fluidity of our circumstances with regards to COVID means that we have to be a little less specific than we'd like, but we'll get to that soon, and you can ask questions if you like. Then one of the highlights of the meeting, the best paper awards. We have an award for best overall paper and an award for best student paper, which is a paper with written by a student or with a leading authorship role for a student. And then we conclude that bittersweet moment of the community meeting where we say goodbye to each other for another year and look forward to next year with all-round slaps on the back and acknowledgements for what a great job we've all done this year, you included, for taking part in this adventure in virtuality. And some of us will then be going on to the General Assembly, which is the deliberative body of the community. But we'll be saying our goodbyes to many of you at the acknowledgement section. Okay, so that's our agenda. And without much further ado, let's go on to the first item, the overview of ICCC 2020.
Okay, so I'll take over here. And as you know, this conference was supposed to be here in West Spain, or as we like to call it, Portugal. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions that we are all aware, it turned out to be a virtual event. But what I find really surprising and uncommon, and I've been, and we all been in several virtual conferences, is really this, is in the end, we, as usual in traditional ICCC style, everybody was at the lounge, at the taberna, having fun and talking with each other. And I really think this attests the vitality of this community. And it was very nice to see how new people that have never come to a ICCC event were able to integrate and feel welcome and so on. So I think that's really something we, ICCC and computational creativity community in general, has going for them. We are a very lively community and a very friendly one also. I think we are all aware of this, and we should reinforce them for future years. Talking about the numbers, just to give you an idea of how this went, we had 76 full paper submissions. This is, well, we have a better year in Paris, but this is an almost record-breaking number. In Paris, I believe we had 80 or 82, not sure. Of these 76 submissions, we accepted 29 for oral presentation and 14 for poster presentation. And remember that the presentation type doesn't necessarily reflect the quality of the paper. It's just what's best for each paper, and also taking it into account the constraints of the schedule. As usual, the review process was uh, as follows. First, the papers were reviewed by the program committee. Then these reviews were handed a senior program committee to cover. He or she ignited a debate regarding the merits of the papers and eventually wrote a meta review. The decisions of acceptance were based on the regional reviews, on the meta review, and on the recommendation of the senior committee member. For short papers, we had a total of 67 submissions, and then we accepted 12 for short oral presentation, 19 for poster presentation, and 10 for show and tell. And the review process was similar, but without a senior committee member in the process, because it's necessary to expedite things. So in total, for the main conference, we had 143 submissions. And this is actually a very large number. We didn't expect that much submissions. And we'll be talking about this later. It really put a strain on our program committee, and in some cases, some reviewers had to review 5 or even 6 papers. So this is something we definitely should look into, and we need more reviewers and high quality reviewers also. But that we can talk about that a little bit later. So regarding the registrations, we had approximately 234 registrations. And I think this is an amazing number, totally exceeded our best expectations. And obviously this shows that these virtual events, although I still prefer the live ones, these virtual events gives the opportunity of more people to participate. Why? Because registrations costs are lower, because you don't need to travel, and so on and so forth. So there's something here that I think we should take into account for future years. So in general, this was the overview of the main event in terms of numbers. But as you know, we also had workshops, we also had tutorials, and we also had a doctoral consortium. And to speak about those, we have the respective shares. So I'm going to give word to Sofia Pinto, and I believe she wants to present a few slides, so I'll stop sharing my screen for now. Sophia, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I hope everybody can see my slides now. Is it okay? Yeah, thank you. So I'll just provide some very quick comments on how we went. So we had 4 very interesting workshops that were accepted. 2 of them were taking place during the 2 days, so it was a large event. And one very interesting feature was that 2 of them were falling into a new category. So we called it the hands-on workshop. Okay, and in this kind of workshop, the organizers were preparing a series of tasks. And in one of the cases, in order to be accepted for the workshop, people even had to provide papers on their view or on one particular type. On the other one, it was all the tasks were prepared by the organizers, and people just had to pop in and start working. So in the case, in one of the cases, these results will even materialize in a paper that is now being written by the people that were actively participating in the hands-on workshop. Okay, the first one, which was a hands-on workshop, was the Introduction to Generative Drawing with Pencil, Sketch, C++, and Open Frameworks. Daniel Buzu gave us very interesting tasks to do, and people were really engaged in the tasks. So we had around 25 participants. It was very interesting. There is a video of the first part of, so if you want, you can go there and see the task that we did to participants. We had another hands-on workshop, although initially it was not in this category, because we created the category in the middle of the submission of workshop proposals. So, and in the future of co-creative systems, which was a 2 days event, it was organized by Anna Cancelo, Kajon Grace, Prasham Tatai, Ravi Kumar, Oli Baum, Tapio Takala, and Mary Lou Mayer. So the team was divided into groups according to the time zones, and there was a collaborative space where everybody would be collaborating together in order to identify what were important issues for the future of co-creative systems. So the group was kind of difficult to follow in terms of how many people we had. We had around 20 people more or less working, but of course there were, since there was a part in which the several teams were working in different time zones, of course some people didn't gather with the others. So there were 2 regular workshops, the Casual Creators, that was organized by Kate Compton, Max Kreminski, and Simon Colton, took place in 2 days. So it followed a more conservative approach. There were some presentations and very nice discussions. And finally, the Knowledge-Based Systems in Computational Design workshop, which was organized by Victor Eisenstadt and Klaus-Dieter Althoff, had around 25 participants and took place in just 1 day. So I think the general view is that they were all very interesting and managed to engage people in various ways. And I think this is what we could say about workshops. And of course, we organizers thank the workshop organizers for the whole hard work and all the preparation that had to be taken into to make the workshops possible at home. Thank you.
Okay, Sophia, thank you. Christian, are you there? Christian was the tutorials organizer. No, no Christian.
Yeah, I think Christian is not here yet, so I would pass the word to Rob. If you
Okay,
agree.
Rob, so take over. Rob was the chair of the doctoral consortium.
Thanks, Basil. I don't have any slides, but I'll just talk you through the doctoral consortium. We had a 2-day program over the 7th and the 8th. We had a total of 30 submissions to the doctoral consortium, and we accepted 23. The review process was that I reviewed all of those extended abstracts and short papers, and then asked people in different areas of specialization to give their expert opinion on them, and that formed a meta review that I passed back to the authors. We had representation from 17 time zones, all the way from Sydney to California. We had a full range of topics, everything from practicing artists to philosophy and everything in between. The structure of the doctoral consortium was that we had 5 one-hour presentation sessions on the first day with a midday panel. The goal here was to spread out the sessions so that people from different time zones could attend live at least some of the sessions. And the format there was that everybody recorded a 2-minute video that was streamed live, and then there was 10 minutes for questions, and we presented 5 papers in 4 of the sessions and 3 in the last. On day 2, it was more freeform. It was mostly dedicated to mentor meetings, although there was the opportunity for the doctoral consortium attendees to interact with each other in little poster session rooms that we created, so that everybody had a private Slack channel and a real-time Jitsi room, another video conferencing platform for everyone to get their heads around. And then we had an afternoon panel at the end of the day for primarily intended for those people in the US who wouldn't have been able to make the early panel on the first day. But we had quite a few people who managed to make both panels, and they enjoyed that the content was very different on both of those. We had, and really I just want to thank everyone who made the doctoral consortium possible. First of all, Emilka for trusting me to actually run it, and also for being part of the second panel. And then also my wonderful mentors and reviewers, that's Tony, Veal, Geraint Wiggins, John McCormack, Anna Jordanis, Ollie Bowen, and Kaz Grace. And of course, Zhao Kuna for just his endless patience and all of his support, and really getting me through that, because I don't think I would have managed without him. So that's my report from the doctoral consortium.
That's great, Rob. Great work. I can attest that some of my students were at the doctoral consortium, and now I'm in trouble because now they expect a lot more from me. So, so that's the downside of things. But I really think it was a great experience. I'm not sure if Christian is back. I've also been in some of the tutorials. They were very interesting and a very welcome addition to the conference.
So Christian, we are not being able to reach him, but we have Sebastian Burns that can report on one of the tutorials.
Okay, so Sebastian, go ahead.
Hi everyone, hey.
Hello.
Yes, of course I can only speak about our own tutorial. I haven't been able to attend any others. I organized with Terence Broad a deep dive into latent space, image generation and manipulation with Stalgan2. We had prepared a short theoretical and background introduction as a background information, as a pre-recorded video. Also, we had set up a notebook hosted on Google Colab with all the code and a walkthrough through the material. So the core element was some exercises around the use of Stalgan2. All of this pre-recorded, sent out to the participants 1 week ahead of the conference, so everybody could catch up at their own leisure. And then we had on Monday, we started the conference actually, I think it was the first session on Monday morning, 9 a.m. UK time. We had the first session, which was set up in a block of 3 hours. Christian was a little bit anxious that people wouldn't be able to prepare. So we decided spontaneously to do a short run through the material. Also, this allowed for a little bit more interactive presentation of the material. And then we had a short break during the day, which gave others the opportunity to catch up again. And we had a second session at 5 p.m. UK time. So that was the way to cover as many time zones as possible, and also to let people have as much time with the material as possible. Following the brief improvised presentations that we did during the tutorial, during the live sessions, we had some Q&A and some brief discussions. I think in total at both sessions, I counted a number of 16 participants, 17. You would probably have to, minus three people, which is me, Terry, and Christian. So it's about 15 people, no, 14,
Yeah.
13. So
That's
25 and 25 in total, I guess.
Okay, that's a great number. So thanks a lot for this summary. I've been in some of the other tutorials, just checking out, and I think this gives a very good picture of what went on. So we need to move on because we have lots of points in the agenda. So I'll pass the word to Geraint Wiggins to talk about, give us a brief overview of what's going on with the Computational Creativity Journal. Geraint, are you there?
I am indeed here, yes. Thank
Great.
you very much. And this will indeed be a brief overview. So we finally set up the Journal of Computational Creativity in 2019, not 1919, and it has been online since the middle of that year. So that's just over a year ago. During that time, it has been edited by myself and by Dan Ventura, who I can see down at the bottom of my screen, and by Kaz John Grace, who I think is probably in bed right now. We are pushing it along as best we can. However, we have a major problem, which is that we have very few submissions. So we have 3 submissions, all of which have not yet been rejected. That is to say, they have been reviewed, and they are currently in revision. So I would encourage the authors of those papers, if they are here, so obviously I'm not going to give any clues as to who they are at this point, to think about completing those papers and getting them submitted. So I would like to encourage you, colleagues, to consider submitting your paper to the Journal of Computational Creativity. We are trying to maintain a high standard, and that means we do want papers which are of a little bit bigger weight than we would normally have for the conference. So we want something where there's a really significant contribution to the science of computational creativity. Now that might be practical, it might be theoretical, it might be philosophical, whatever. Everything is treated equally, but there needs to be a reasonably substantial contribution. And I know for certain that there are such contributions waiting to be written up in this community. So please do consider submitting your paper. I'm about to put into the chat room the link to the journal so that you can copy it out and go there. If everyone goes there at once, the site will be very slow indeed, of course. But you can do that later on, and you can see the submission process is relatively simple. You do need to follow the instructions carefully, otherwise some things get caught up. And indeed, we did have some teething issues with the tech at the beginning, but those are now, I believe, sorted out. So I would like to say a big thank you to my co-editors and also to the reviewers who have worked hard and under stress, of course, in COVID-19 circumstances, the same as the rest of us. None of us have had time to finish our reviews. I've got several outstanding waiting for me. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's been involved, and I will be even more grateful to authors who choose to submit their substantial work to the journal.
Okay, great. That's thanks for the summary. Okay, now the next intervention is by João Cunha. He is going to talk about the Computational Creativity Task Force. João, please go ahead.
Hi, so most of you probably already know that there is such a task force working behind scenes. So just for those of you that don't, so the idea was that last year there were some gatherings, for example, DAX2 workshop in which some of the members that some of are here present, we started talking about how the community was going, how the conference was going, and there were some concerns in terms of visibility or other communities that were producing work similar to computational creativity, and the proximity was not as we wished it was. And so we started talking about what we could do. And at the time, and these conversations followed and continued to last year, ICCC And what was decided was that we would it would be given to members of the community the possibility to try to find ways of improving everything. So the community, the conference. And so at the time, the association decided to form this computational creativity task force. And the initial members are myself, Anna Contosalo, Christian Gluckelsberger, Kajan Grace, Sarah Armand, and Paul Bodley. And obviously, these are only the initial members. First of all, we want to have everyone that wants to improve this community come and talk to us and improve what is there to improve. And that's why we already sent out a survey. You probably have filled it out with some questions regarding the community. We are in the process of treating the data and trying to see what's happening in the community. So this year we already did some efforts, and I also invite people that are here from the task force. So Anna and Paul, I think there's no one else here to talk, but we started working, for example, with a call for papers this year in ICCC was also a product that had also the task force members' hands in it. And so our main goal is actually to open the community, trying to make us more open to people coming new. And I was very happy that I got the chance to talk with few people that were new in this field, people coming back from previous years, from Paris, people that had not been in ICCC since Paris. And I was very happy to see these people coming back. And so there is a lot of work to be done. And again, this is only the first step, and I invite anyone that wishes to work on this to come to us. We have a link with an email. And also, if you look at the proceedings, the first document there is a report that has been done by the members of the task force. The task force that have been working in analyzing the community and analyzing the conference. So please read it. And if you have suggestions, if you want to work with us, please drop us an email. We will be most welcome to anyone that wants to come. I'm not sure if Anna or Paul want to add anything. I think it would be great if they do.
Okay, so João, thank you very much for your summary. I must say I had doubts regarding the Computational Creativity Task Force in the beginning, but I must say you have been doing an amazing job, and now I really think you dig yourself a hole, because you will have to continue doing this. You have become very important. The task force has become very important for this community and for this event. And talking about this event, namely about next year, Milker, please take the stage.
Yeah, thank you, Gonzalo. Well, I think everybody knows that next year, the next conference will be organized by Mexico people, by the Universidad Autónoma Metropolitana de México in Ciudad de México. Unfortunately, due to pandemics, there are too many unknowns, and it is unfortunately too soon to tell you the dates and the exact model of the conference. This will be decided later on by the steering committee and by the local organizers, of course. But we can add that it will be organized in Mexico in the summer of next year. Whenever the format we choose, the local organizers are committed to delivering an excellent conference. We have no doubts about that. And with a distinctive Mexican flavor, we don't have any doubts about that neither. Unless the situation improves and international travel is again a safe and comfortable option, we expect the conference to have a strong virtual dimensions. Well, unfortunately, we don't have Rafael Perez y Perez, the next General Chair, present, but we will view a short video presenting the conference, and then I will call the program, I don't know if the local chair, yes, the local chair, Wendy Aguilar, and then I will talk with her about a symbolic thing we have about this. Okay, let's view the video.
Okay, let's see if I can play the video.
Okay, this is a flavor of what the conference can be, depending on being face-to-face or virtual. We will see what happens. In any case, we will meet together, and I'm pretty sure the next conference will be even more successful than this one. And to symbolically pass the token of the conference, I will deliver it to Wendy Aguilar. Wendy Aguilar, where are you? Please.
Hello. Hello, how are you, Amilcar? Thank you very much.
Hello, Wendy.
We are really excited about
this. This is the general share of this year, delivering the conference token to the new general share, which will be Rafael. But please, you will deliver him personally. I don't know how, but tell him that the token is in his hands and he must take care of it as this was his own life. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Wendy, speak.
Thank you. I just want to tell you that we're very excited about the organization of next year's conference. And we will do our best to make it a great experience, either it is virtual or face-to-face. And I want to invite all of you to submit your papers, your works, your demos, etc. And we'll be very happy to host the next conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. We are looking forward for your event.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get back to our presentation because we are actually running out of time. So Tony, do you want to take over?
Thank you, Penazel. Thank you, Amilcar and Wendy. So next year's conference looks great, but let's hear your feedback on this year's conference. Penazel has arranged a smorgasbord of tweets on the screen there, just to show people what the general tenor of the conversation has been. I'm not one for responding to tweets, just what we have bots for. But
Tony, sorry for interrupting. These are actually not tweets. This is on Slack. There is a thread there where you are welcome to put your suggestions in, and I just copy and pasted a few from there. But that would be a great way for you to reach us, and so that we can pass on these to future shares, and also to debate at this point. Sorry for interrupting you, Tony. Please take it.
No. Your point is well taken. Tweets meets whatever. Okay, please do use Slack, but please contact us with any feedback you may have in any form that you want to contact us. As Zhao said, we have a very active CC task force who is willing to listen to and act on the recommendations that we receive. And in fact, they have been very busy with recommendations that have been received from previous community meetings in earlier conferences. But let's take this opportunity now to have a face-to-face presentation of views. You can use chat if you want to throw a question open to the audience generally, and then based on that, we can turn the camera on you and you can speak your mind if you wish. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to throw out into the community?
I just wanted to say something about the task force. I read it over this morning, their report, and it shows that the state of the field and the conference is very healthy, and there's lots of stats. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. But if I was to point to one thing that shows how healthy the field is, it's the fact that 5 or 6 of the younger people in the community spent so much time and effort on analyzing the field and making great suggestions. It shows commitment and that they care so much that want to improve things going forward. I thought I was incredibly impressed. I want to say a personal thank you to them for doing all that hard work. So one other point is that Amilcar mentioned whether it be face-to-face or virtual. And I think even if we are free of COVID and can travel to Mexico City, I would really push for it to be the conference to be face-to-face and virtual. So many people can't make conferences. People like Michael Cook for years have been pushing the idea of making sure that everything is everything is video streamed, and we have chats and Slacks and Discords going. And that's been an amazing thing this year, which I hope will be possible next year, even if we all are lucky enough to go to Mexico City to be hosted by Raphael and Wendy and the team.
No, your point about the task force is well taken. They're young, enthusiastic, they're all volunteers, and they've all put in much more effort and time than we ever expected them to. I'd like to take this opportunity for a shout out to Anna Cantasalo, by the way, who is feeling a bit under the weather today. I think she might be present in a listening capacity. Anna is our diversity officer. So as a community, we want to take the issues of diversity and representation very seriously. So if any of your questions relate to broadening the appeal of the conference, broadening the diversity of the conference to different groups that you may think are underrepresented at present, please let us know. We take this very seriously, and we want our community and our conference to be an open forum for all. So please do share your concerns if you have them, your thoughts, your suggestions, if you'd like us to act upon them. You are the voice of the community. We'll do our best to reflect you. We don't want this to be a top-down structure. It comes from the bottom. It comes from everyone speaking their mind. As a creative community, we have a a divergent mindset to begin with, and that's something that we want to see reflected in how we do our business as a community. Let's see if we have any questions.
Geraint raised his hand, so go ahead.
Well, I raised my hand just to point out that it is possible to raise one's hand. So colleagues may not know that you can click on the participants button and get a list of participants and a raise hand button. And that makes it much easier for Tony to manage the meeting. That was all. Oh, I also wanted to say that I agree with what Simon said. I think we should always be virtual from now on, but maybe we can be physical at the same time.
Yeah, a combination would be great, in my opinion.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we'll have to see how that sits with the local organizers, because of course a blended delivery complicates things greatly from their point of view. Though I agree with the general principle that the more we can open up the conference to people who can't travel to the conference, the better. We do miss something by not being physically present. Even though the technology has stepped into the gap admirably, there is something to be said for meeting in person. But the tremendous numbers we've had this year in terms of attendance suggest that virtuality is here to stay in some form or another. The key is how to achieve the balance. So if you have any suggestions on how we can optimally achieve the balance to make the conference experience the best possible for attendees and to minimize the excessive load that it's going to place on local chairs, then please do not be slow in coming forward with your suggestions.
I think we have a nice remark here from Alexander. So saying that he enjoyed the panel format sessions instead of having the presentations. I think I agree with him. So I think that this discussion panel, in my opinion, works so much better than presentation plus question and answer, presentation plus question and answer. And I think even if I hope we go back to live conferences, but I think we need to learn with this strategy of preparing properly the discussions and trying to have topics that link all the authors. I think it worked so well in this conference.
Actually, in the first Mexico conference, there was a wonderful trade-off between presentations and panel structures where people were asked to give, I think it was a 7-minute presentation. It was quite daunting at first, and it was not well received by many at first, but it worked very well, where people gave a highly condensed presentation of 7 minutes. And then we had the panel structure for each session that is familiar from this year's conference. So there may be some trade-off that can be achieved between giving people the real-time content of the papers. Not everyone can read the papers or see the videos in advance, especially if you're wandering into a session with a serendipitous frame of mind. Oh, what's going on here? So it's nice to have the speakers present their main message, but in a condensed form. Certainly there's lots of lessons to be learned from this year's conference, and I think almost everything that was done this year has worked well. The question is, can it work even better?
Okay, we have Geraint first and then Pablo. Geraint, go ahead.
Thank you. So just in the distant past, when we used to run the joint workshops on computational creativity, we had a physical version of this where we gave presentations, but in groups of 3 or 4, and then panels afterwards. So it didn't have the offline element, but it did have the discussion element. And I absolutely agree that it would be great to go back to that. So I would view this virtualization thing as an opportunity to go back. Also, as Tony said, not everyone was happy with the 7-minute idea in the Mexico conference, I think. I was one of those people because I found it very difficult to pick up enough of what was going on, given that all of the speakers were under pressure. So I think a very good thing to do might be to combine the video idea with the short presentation idea, right? So you have your video, which people can look at in advance if they want to, and you have a short summary which you give in person before a panel session. And that seems to me to be the best of all worlds. Anyway, that's just an idea.
I also didn't like the 7-minute format for the same reason as Geraint. And I also didn't like the panel sessions because back then, 10 years ago, many of the panels descended into questions of what creativity is, and we were all kind of pulling our hair out. Some of the people who've been doing this for 10 years. That hasn't happened at all in this ICC 2020, and probably because we are more mature in the field now and we have more precise questions to ask, I guess. So I would encourage that we carefully make sure the panels don't descend into incredibly large philosophical questions like they used to do. But Geraint's suggestion is great.
One of the great successes this year, I think, has been the strong moderating hand of the session chair to direct the flow of conversation and to balance the needs of the theme of the session with the questions from the audience. Sometimes, unfortunately, that means you don't get to every question from an audience member, but the panels are I found them to be tremendously coherent this year and very rewarding to listen to, almost like a TV panel show rather than a free-for-all. I think that's something that we should strive to keep next year as well. This not too strong, but a strong moderating hand from an experienced session chair to shape the discussion and to keep it lively and flowing.
Okay, so Pablo, you have your
Yes.
hand raised for quite a while.
Yes, no, I was just going to say some things about this, but a lot of it has already been said in general terms. But I remember, from what I remember of the Mexico event, the problem was it worked really well. We all had a great time. We all had this kind of discussion. We had the same feeling that I hear voiced here today about the panels. It was so good to have this presentation and everything. So, and that was the people who were optimistic about it. And then over the years, I've had this conversation with several people who were there at the time. And what happens is that event left a gap in everybody's perception of your own research, because nobody remembers what other people presented at that conference. The actual stuff they presented, the papers they wrote, the technical material that they discussed, basically wasn't there. Nobody managed to read the papers. Nobody saw the presentations. The 7-minute presentations weren't enough. So that's something that would need to be addressed. And some of the suggestions that have been put forward might help with that. And here again, my experience of this year's format is I've only managed to see the videos of the sessions that I prepared specifically for, and even that took a special effort. And for the other sessions, I haven't seen the videos. So I think I'm missing out on some of what I might have achieved if the thing had been real, because I never got to see the presentations by a lot of the participants, which is a pity. So I encourage all the good things, but we must find a good blend that doesn't have this kind of shortcomings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for that. I see Christian is now here. Christian, please go ahead.
Yes, my apologies again about the delay.
It's not a problem.
And many thanks for Joao and Sebastian to handling my part in my absence. Things are quite chaotic over here. I just wanted to connect to what Pablo has said. Namely, I really agree. I barely managed to listen and watch the talks that are immediately relevant for me. But I think I missed out on a lot of the serendipity that I get from just sitting in a session and just staying there, maybe doing something slightly different in the meantime, but just still keep on listening to what's happening. And then something cool comes up that turns out to be really relevant. And I mean, so much of our research is really about bridging between different domains and disciplines. So I think we really have to try to maintain that element. And although I agree with so many of the great things that Jaro says, I think it's really, really important to keep these talks in there, to be present in there, and a pure virtual format where it's up to us and our responsibility to watch whatever is relevant for us might not give us the same benefits. Also, I want to pick up on what Tony said about the panels. You clearly had a great experience as a session chair, and I think you did an excellent job there. I very much enjoyed the panel, but as the person trying to ask the questions and getting these questions through, I sometimes found it deeply unsatisfying that the panel chairs were, capable of getting rid of all their super interesting questions, but the audience was not so much. And I think we have a little bit more chance to even that out if the audience is physically present, and I would like to see that a bit more.
In my session, I got through all the questions just. For the other session chairs, were there still loads of questions from the audience that were waiting to be pulled up?
Well, the chat function encourages, in some cases, very long questions, which is prohibitive. You scan down your list of questions and you go, ooh, here's a short question I can ask. So there is a learning curve for both session chairs and question askers in this process as we fumble together towards the future.
Yeah, so I certainly admire news anchors more than I did before. The way they managed to cope with multiple information streams, it's pretty tough. There was also, for me at least, there was a minor glitch which had major effects in that I couldn't see my questions because the window didn't scroll automatically and I didn't know they were there. There was no indication that anything had appeared, which was slightly awkward.
I had that problem too. It was quite mortifying to find out after the session that there was a whole build-up of questions on the bottom.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so I'll pass that one back to underline as a constructive comment.
Yeah, that was one of the limitations of the platform. When you were backstage, it was difficult to realize what was going on. And in some cases, having an extra person there or an extra channel of communication, somebody through Skype or whatever, letting you know, okay, this is delayed, this is something like that, that really helped. We only realized that in the middle of the conference, because obviously we are all learning how to do this. One thing that has been raised several times is the format of the poster sessions. Jessica, you were commenting about it on chat. Please go ahead, explain what went on.
Yeah, I guess that problem of the poster sections was because when to see a poster, we need to go to the poster section part and then go to the poster and then try to. And in the meantime, another section was currently in the main track, so it was difficult to see the posters and to understand that the post and the people were in the posters waiting for answers and talk about the projects. I guess that when the conference is in person, it's more easily because it needs to have a poster section between the others, and we see a poster in real life and a person in real life, so it's more easily, and maybe we need to do something to work with the poster sections online.
So the idea is really, and there is a big consensus about the Taberna environment, surprisingly, because ICCC doesn't revolve about this at all. But people really enjoyed the Taberna, and it would, if we did this again now, we would certainly consider doing the poster session in Taberna. I think that environment was really cool. I had great fun there, and we even had a few drinks and so on. It was very nice. It was very nice. So that's definitely something to keep for future events, especially if virtual ones. Yeah. Yeah, and that thing that you can cluster, yeah, Geraint, like you're saying, a real sense of presence. I totally agree. So Coseiro also has his hand raised. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Coseiro.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know. Yeah. So it's just about this thing about Taverna. It's funny to talk about it, but for me as a first-time attendee, um, for me it was very important to have that space because I could approach people in a more relaxed way. Because for me, I was watching all the videos and the panels and watching all of you that. I read so much things that you wrote and so much of your research, and I was a little bit constrained, like looking from down up, and the taverna ambience environment made it possible for me to reach out to you and to know you not only as a name that I keep reading on references lists and just like the person you are and our and I can meet you as you are and talk to you and ask you questions that I didn't have the courage maybe to do in a panel full of people, and I was just like there watching. So I think it's a really cool environment to that to open and to create this community thing. I loved it. Thank you.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Of course, Ron, you are also very used to being in tabernas. It's your natural habitat, so that may have contributed.
Yeah, that helps.
So we have lots of people with the hands raised. Dan, can you go ahead? Because I think you have a very relevant point.
Well, I don't know which point you're thinking about now, but I did want to agree with a lot of things that people have said, both about the positives that we've had with this virtual experience. Some things are maybe better virtually than they are in person in a sense. And people mentioned some of those. And also the fact that the team pulled this off this year under such quick turnaround is amazing. This has been really, really fantastic. But I also want to second some things that Christian and Pablo said and about the downsides of not being there. Like and add to it the fact that maybe a lot of people there didn't experience because you're all in Europe. Being physically a long ways away in a different time zone made it even more disconnected for me than just the fact that it was virtual. So I had to get up and be at meetings at 6 in the morning, or it's middle of your day for me. And that was painful. And also even much worse than that. And people in Australia, for example, are up at 10, 11 at night to attend the meetings. So that means that, yes, we participated to some extent, but not as much as we could have. And also, of course, being here, I couldn't get away from all my local responsibilities like I wanted to. So I had to miss the entire day yesterday because of teaching class and so on. So I really liked what Christian said about how if you're not actually there, sitting in the session, being sort of forced to listen to everything or having this opportunity to listen to things when nothing else can get in your way, you just miss a lot of it. And that's, I don't know how we can do anything about that if we stay virtual. Maybe there are some things we can do, but being distributed around the globe and having local things pull us away from, I feel very much like this was a great experience to see how we did things virtually. And it was a great experience to have as good a conference as we could under really dire circumstances. But I feel very much like I missed most of it this year compared to the years where I'm there and talking to people and sitting in the sessions and experiencing every talk, really. In years past, every single paper, I'm exposed to them automatically. And this year, not the case at all.
Yeah, that was exactly the point I was talking about. And I think it's important As you said, I believe in the chat, we are all very happy. We are all very enthusiastic about these virtual conferences. But okay, let's face it, live, it was way better. And in fact, when I think about it, I was supposed to have a terrible hangover at this moment, you know, and it's kind of strange. No jet lag, no hangover. It's not the same thing, you know.
Yes.
Surprisingly, some of the papers make a lot more sense. So maybe there's a positive side, but it's not the same. So, by the way, Rob asked during the presentation, how many of those 234 registration were from people that were not co-authors, and it turns out 94. So that's a very impressive number, in my opinion, because 94 people have registered that don't have any paper, at least that we could identify. That's a lot more than I expected, and I believe, at least for me, it was a surprise. So guys, more ideas, or should we wrap this up and go back to the presentation, because we still have great stuff ahead?
How are we doing for time?
Well, we have 20 more minutes. We are good with time. We can continue to talk, or we can go back to the presentation, because we still have some announcements to make and a little surprise in the end. And maybe you should go back to the presentation, wrap this up, and go to the tavern, because everybody wants to go there.
Christian has raised his hand.
Oh,
yeah, I feel we owe Christian a question.
Go ahead, Christian.
So much.
Sorry.
Well, I just wanted to add to what you said, Panusa. Namely, I was very positively surprised that many tutorial proposals were submitted by people who've never been to ICCC before. And I think that was really interesting for the community, because we got some really, really interesting stuff for the community from the outside. And I think it really helped here that we offered waivers for the conference fee for the first time here. And I think that was a really good move, and it was very well appreciated by the tutorial organizers, and got us some really good tutorials. I just want to add that.
Okay, so some people are asking here in the chat if the Slack can remain open. I believe it can. João Cunha, can you confirm this? Yeah, it can remain, right?
I've discussed this with several people and trying to ask if what they think about this idea. On my end, I think it would be very good if we can maintain this Slack, probably turn it more into a thematic thing rather than an ICCC thing, right? So wrap the ICCC, probably make it more private, because there is some content there that we want to preserve just to the people that paid for it, right? But then we can probably create thematic channels, for example, similar to the thematic sessions that we created, and try to stimulate the community to interact through Slack. Because at this point, I mean, we still have the Google group, right? But I'm not sure if anyone shares my opinion, but I think at this point the Google group is not working properly. I think people have switched off from it. We can still send some notifications, but I think as a discussion it doesn't work. And I have faith that the Slack will be able to fill this gap. So on my end, I think I'm more than happy to keep on going with the Slack if you want.
I think it would be an excellent idea, especially for people who want to communicate with the task force or suggest topics for the task force to look at. Slack would be a much more amenable channel for them.
By the way, Slack is free. There is also a paid version with some extras. So Slack, in the free version, we have a limit of messages. And once you reach, I believe, 10,000 or something like that, they disappear. The previous, there is a rolling window of messages. But other than that, it's fine. And it's also not supposed to be a place to store things forever. Yeah, 10,000 is quite a lot. It works very well. Also, Geraint was saying that the Slack should be something of the Association for Computational Creativity, or even just computational creativity in general, and then have separate channels for ICCC, ACCC, and so on. But maybe we should leave this to the task force to find a better way of, you know, finding a compromise between everything.
But I just want not to lose the community we already have on that Slack channel.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, transfer them or make sure we just rename that one we've got. Otherwise, many people won't come back if we, move them off and then expect them to come somewhere else. We can have continuity.
Mm-hmm.
So just to answer Simon here, you were saying that we shouldn't reserve any of the channels for paying members, right? So what I was saying is also topic that I discussed with Christian, is that some of the organizers of the workshop would prefer that their content remains for the people that did attend ICCC. So that's what I was trying to say. So for example, the videos that they produced, if they do want to keep them private, we should give them that freedom,
Sure.
Yeah, and regarding the 10,000 posts going away, and yes, if it's a large group of people, it will go fast, but we can create stickers and so on. So, for instance, for videos and stuff like that, I think this is a good task for the task force. Yeah, like Christian is saying, it's difficult to keep the Slack alive. It depends. If it depends. We have to test it and see it. I believe, Christian. You have your hand raised. Do you want to talk? Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, I think the raising the hand thing doesn't really work, right? But about the Slack, I think there is a number of things we can do, and maybe the task force could actually think about that. I think that's a sensible thing. But it is a challenge to keep the community and keep people engaged over the entire year. So let's see what we can do about that. I just wanted to mention a completely different thing, and I know I missed my tutorial slot, so please apologize. But my experience this year as tutorial chair was that, well, I think I would like to suggest to think again if we really want a split between tutorial and workshop chairs, or if this should be managed by the same team. I don't know how the workshop chairs felt about this year, but we had a couple of situations where people submitted something, and for us it wasn't really clear. Is this a tutorial? Is this a workshop? How are we supposed to handle this? Who should be handling it? And I think there's a lot of redundancy in the work that we've been doing. So maybe it's actually good if this is being done by the same team as was the case the years before. Just an idea.
Okay. So guys, I think now we should really go back to the presentation, because if we continue this, we will eventually run out of time as traditional. But we can keep on talking about this then at the Baroness. So let's switch back to the presentation, assuming I'm able to do this. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So the next thing is really, okay. So the next point is the Best Paper Awards. As you know, we had lots of submissions and very high quality submissions. So it wasn't easy to decide how to give away these awards, because the competition was significant. So I see somebody is telling me something on the chat. Just give me a moment, because I cannot see the chat at the same time. So yeah, sorry. It was not relevant at all. So regarding the Best Papers Awards, the quality was very high, but still there are some papers that really stood out from the rest. And from the submissions, taking in account reviewer comments, the suggestions for best paper, and so on, Tony and I, we selected a subset of the papers that could be candidates for a best paper award. We asked for extra reviews, and based on that, we decided on the best paper awards. So the winner, we have two categories. We have the best paper and the best student paper, okay? So the winners of best paper are, and now we do the drum roll and all that stuff that I don't know how to do. Let's see if I can change the screen. So best paper, Simon Colton, Christian, Michael Cook, Maria Teresa Leano Rodriguez, and John McCormack on the machine condition and its creative expression, okay? So congratulations, Simon. Do you want to say something? Let's congratulate you.
Wow. Well, thank you very much.
I'll send you over a diploma or something like that.
One of my water certificate. Well, I just hope this encourages people to read the paper. Alison and I in particular worked really hard on that. Alison's not on this list.
Sorry, that's probably my mistake. That's a copy and paste problem. Sorry for that.
Alison is the second author, and we talked about this paper for 2 years straight.
Okay.
Alison couldn't be at the conference this year. She's on maternity leave. As I mentioned to lots of people in the taverna last night, which is great news. She has twins from earlier in the year.
Oh, great.
Yes, so please do read the paper. And this was a position paper, so I hope it encourages people to also put their positions into words, because that really helps clarify thoughts, which really helps when you have conversations in tavernas. Well, thank you very much for this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Simon. Amazing paper. And once again, please accept my apologies. This was copy and paste. We just received the decisions yesterday night, so totally my fault and certainly not deliberate. But okay, I'll pay Alison also a beer. Thank you very much. So, and just before I pass the word to Tony, I believe, and this was one of the designing comments, this is the sort of paper that currently you almost only see at ICCC, in the sense that it is a position paper, very well founded, with lots and lots of citations, thought-provoking, and a paper that can really make a large impact in the field. But nowadays, you only see this sort of paper almost only in ICCC, and I do believe we need more papers along these lines. So congratulations, Simon, well done.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So Tony, do you want to present the student paper?
Yes, thank you, Pinazal.
Drum roll again and so on. And there you go.
Yes, okay. So we followed the same procedure for the student paper. And my thunder was just stolen there by Pinazal flicking the slide forward. As you can see, the Best Student Paper Award goes to Richard Savary, Lisa Zara, and Gil Weinberg. Shimon the Rapper, a real-time system for human-robot interactive rap battles. We gave this paper to a number of second readers beyond the original reviewers to look at, and they were extremely positive about its many merits, not least the mix of embodiment, computational creativity, and contemporary creativity. It's a corker of a paper, and I recommend that everyone have a look at the video on Underline and read the paper. Well done. A virtual diploma of sorts, no prize, as Stanley used to put it, will be winging its way to you in the mail sometime, but well done, guys.
Okay. Thanks. So now I have no idea what's coming next, so I'll just winging. Okay, so acknowledgements. Milker, apparently it's you.
That's with me. I have a list of acknowledgements, of thanks. Well, we would like to thank and the workshops organizers, of course. the tutorial chair and the tutorials organizers, the doctoral consortium chair, and the mentors and the students that participated, the digital sound art chair, the proceedings chair, the program committee, the reviewers, the steering committee of the association, the CC task force, Underline, who made a very good technical job. I would like to thank our sponsors, the Department of Informatics Engineering of the University of Coimbra and the Center for Informatics and Systems of the University of Coimbra. All the CC community, all those that attended the conference, that participated by sending papers, by attending the conference, by participating in the discussions and so on. The local chair and the local organization. I would like to thank in particular the students that helped us in several moments in the background. The media chair. I ask you a special applause for João Cunha. He was fantastic. He did so many things, so many stuff. He was always there. Well, thank you, João Cunha, for that. You were amazing. And of course, our two PC chairs, Penosal and Tony, because they organized the process in a very smooth way. We had no big problems. We always have one another problem with this reviewer, with that author, but in general terms, we didn't have much stress. Even if we were making most of the process during the pandemics and there was so many constraints around, actually the process of reviewing was quite smooth, and I think we must thank them for their work. And thank you all for being here. I hope that we meet again next year. Physically or virtually, we'll be in Mexico. Our souls will be in Mexico, even if we are not there physically. Thank you all, and bye-bye.
Okay, Milker, thanks. Let's give a big round of applause to everybody.
Can I actually add an addendum to thank the reviewers, the senior PC, the meta reviewers, the reviewers of the best paper candidates, and of course the proceedings chair, Phil Vick. Just a few extra.
And let's not forget Amilcar.
And Amilcar.
Yes. There you go. Well done. Well done. So we have a final surprise, and to be honest, I haven't seen this, so this is totally live. I have no idea what's coming next, and it's not meant to be taken seriously, or maybe it is. This is the Computational Creativity Anthem by the new band. It's not a creative band, that's the name, and this is the pre-release studio version of the song. I have no idea what's coming next, and I'm being honest here. So let's hit play and we'll see it.
It is serious.
Okay.
proximity, nothing can kill the collaborative spirit. I don't really care if you're human or machine. Show me what you got, even if it's obscene. We'll filter it and mix it, or label it and learn it. Evolve it, bend it, squeeze it and fold it. The final frontier of philosophy and language. Audiovisual dancing, make a delicious sandwich. Computational creativity, the final frontier. Computational creativity, the final frontier.
I'm speechless. This is amazing. Well done, well done. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Okay, this is all for now. I think we should move to the taberno. Well done. Thanks for setting this up, João, and the band. I guess João is the manager of the band or something like that. So see you in taberno. Okay. Bye bye.
There's too much of me in there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Video.
A little bit too much.
The rapper. We couldn't see the rapper. Who was the rapper?
The rapper is Giovanni. Is there? I don't think
We had no
made the
images
music.
of him.
He made most of the work, actually.
Yeah, and we
but
got no images from him in the
because
video.
he couldn't he couldn't record it. He had no time. All the time he had was to
Yeah, he already left the band because the commercial success and so on.
No, he made a lot of things here. He made the beats, the mix,
and it was
the rap,
really well done. Yeah.
I love
Very good, very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, Maya. Is Maya online?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
She's
so.
not there.
We have to send her this video.
This totally remembered me of a song of the 80s, and I'm trying to recollect the song.
So
it's Green Day. The beginning is Green Day.
No, it's
I still
just
believe that it's Green Day.
Yeah, it's a bit
Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So the thing now is to do one version of the anthem every year. Every conference has its own version of the anthem. Everyone is invited to be a part of the band, and of course, yeah. It's
challenge every year. People could put a team or a system trying to compose and write the lyrics. It could be very cool.
Yeah,
a very nice demonstration of work in the field.
No, but actually these lyrics, Maya isn't here, but as far as I know, they were generated automatically.
Yeah, yes, I know her work. I know her work.
Yeah, but she presented this 1 year ago in Charlotte.
I think it was more 2 or 3 years ago.
Or maybe in Salamanca.
It was in Atlanta. She was presenting it at the MUME workshop when I was. I think it was 2017.
It's possible.
2017.
But in Salamanca, she also sang it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our idea is to do actually that, precisely that, to each year gather people around and use the most that we can of the work that is being submitted, like all the systems, all the ideas, and try to put it in a song. And in the end of the conference, we stay with a version of the anthem with what happened in that, like a final wrap of the conference. Just something
very good.
That's very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will pass all the nice feedback to the rest of the band. Thank you very much.
Did you mix the video as well?
Yeah, like in the, so I may be the reason why Pnosal has to delay a little bit the start of his screen share, because I was at like 5 minutes before the presentation trying to put our videos together, but I would have liked to have more videos of the rest of the band.
Yeah, you can remove a little. You can remove me, parts of me, and add some other people, and then you can end with credits.
Yeah. I definitely will do.
Yes, I think you can chop off his ears or something.
and
yeah, remove a little bit.
And that's the work, your work for this weekend.
Oh, it can't be. I have a PhD to start, and I am
start.
And I'm late. I'm 1 year late, so.
So, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, guys. So
So Giovanni.
This is the main.
Well done, Giovanni.
Giovanni is our MVP.
Congratulations.
And
so guys, just throw everything into one song. It's gonna work.
Yeah, all of these, all of those really nice feedback. It's mainly for him.
And now I remember, Maya singing remind me of Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Kate Bush.
There's something similar in the tone of voice, or I'm trying to find a specific song, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's very good because most of the people contributing to this song are actually new members of the community coming for the first time to ICCC. So I hope they had really great fun and they do return next year. So I really hope that.
It was cool how it emerged spontaneously, you know. But what was that crazy sort of instrument that looked like an animal? What is that?
Yeah, we would like to have that.
Yeah. What is that thing? How is it called? Please pass it on the chat. I want that. I don't know for.
Yeah, this is not working. Yeah, this is called automaton.
Okay.
Automaton. I'll just type it in the chat.
Yeah, type it in. Because if there is an instrument that I can play, maybe it's that one.
Wow.
Let's try to.
I totally want one of those things. It's so annoying.
It's so annoying. It's very hard to play. Also, it's one of the hardest things to play.
I didn't use it, but I've learned that we have 3 members of this community that have this instrument: Mariana Seisa, Giovanni, and Anna. Anna Cantosalo has one too.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
And should we make an ensemble?
Yeah,
exactly. This is for automaton.
Yeah.
It's super hard to play though. It's worse than a violin. I don't even know how to start.
Okay.
No. I just practice. I'll practice something and see if I can get it.
Okay,
like
so
recognizable tune.
So next year, when we go to Mexico, we can have an entire section of the band playing automaton or whatever the name it is.
Yes.
Just 5 automaton playing at the same time.
I think I will suggest to the band to keep Slack alive. We will be rehearsing all year, so we can do a live concert in Mexico next year, like 45 minutes of great songs. like this.
Oh.
As you see, we have a lot of diversity of instruments in our band.
So
And
I misspelled wrong spelling.
So we need a system that writes pieces for all the instruments in the band.
Yeah, I hope you scientists, you science people start to work on that, because I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think one downside of this band is that we still have to record everything manually. I mean, it's mostly human based. We have to.
João, but do you know that your PhD program is called what is the name actually? But it has science in the name.
Yeah, it has, but
science and technology.
I didn't enroll myself in the. It was a system that enrolled me in that course.
Hugo, that didn't stop you, so why should it stop him? You know. and João has a PhD about emojis, so you know, it's not preventing anyone from doing crazy stuff. I just passed there a link to the band I was talking the other day. It's ICCC'20. It was a band from the 80s, and supposedly when they were formed, but they didn't know how to play any instrument. And actually, the first time they played together supposedly was in their first live concert. So that's a role model that we can follow. As free form improvisation and all that stuff. It's certainly creative in some sense.
So are we going to the taberna, or are you already in the taberna?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's move there. Let's move there.
Let's move there. Also, I'm going to leave. See you guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
I'm in both places at the same time.
Okay.